What is good debt? What is bad debt? How does this work? And when does it make sense? When is it right for you? Let's jump into it. At the end of the day, it is important to acknowledge having no debt can be a great lift of a burden. However, there are reasons why you want to have good debt and understand the difference between the two. So let's get started first of all with bad debt. Now, when we talk about bad debt, it's debt that you take on with no expectation of a greater return. It's like you're just taking it on for fun, basically, and it's not going to be very much fun when you can't pay it back and it takes all this money out of your bank account and you can't live and you become very poor because you're just paying the interest. Kind of what our U.S. government's doing, right? U.S. government has over $30 trillion in debt. Now the interest is going up. Interest rates are going up. It's eating our government alive, and so you don't want to follow that shitty example, right? So let's jump into this. Bad debt. All right, debt for personal reasons. Let's say I want to go on an expensive vacation. I was just looking up, Bora Bora. Let's go to Bora Bora. It's 30 grand. I'm going to have to put it on a credit card or get a loan for the vacation. And well, I'm going to be paying on that vacation for years. Good debt or bad debt? We all know that's bad debt, right? Let's say, some people, we just love our clothes. We got to have the best clothes. We've got the holiday season coming up, and we've worked hard, so we deserve to have the finest in clothing. And these are the things that happen when we go into debt for personal reasons that don't make us money. Expensive cars and houses are really very similar. If you overextend and get a very expensive car, which by the way I did in my 20s, all of a sudden, if you just got that reasonable car, all that extra money that could be invested, that could go towards your business, that could actually earn you a return, now has to go to a depreciating asset car. Probably not a good example of good debt. I'm going to call that bad debt. And the same thing is if you put all your money into that house and you become house poor, you can't travel, you can't do anything because every last dime is going into your expensive house. If you can get a nice, reasonable house with a good mortgage payment that's, hopefully 25% or less of your gross income, that's all right. It's going to go up in value. Not a bad investment. Example of good debt. But personal debt reasons really don't help us. And I'm going to add one more to the bad debt pile. We're going to call that student loans. Student loans generally are not good debt. I know we're 18 years old and $100,000 in student loans, so I could go get that piece of paper. College degree sounds like a good idea, but it's not. It's not. When you go to school, hopefully you can go to an in-state school. Hopefully you can work as you go to school and really get out of school with very little, hopefully no student loan debt. Let's get to the good debt pile, the good debt sources. And we're going to define good debt as debt that is going to generate a positive return on investment. There's an expectation that I take this debt out, but I'm going to make so much more money from the debt that I'm going to pay the debt off. I'm going to win this game. And that, my friends, is an example of good debt. And so when Dave Ramsey's saying cut up the cards, get out of the bad debt, he understands that debt for business reasons is different as long as you check a few boxes. At the top of the box is you want to make sure that you've got a proven business concept that works. Hopefully you have experience in the industry and you've got a business model that is profitable, that's proven, at least a roadmap for success, maybe a business coach mentor who's helping you along the way to put the odds in your favor. Once you have that proof of concept, now you can go into business for yourself. You can grow it. Now it makes sense to take out funding and business debt that you can generate a huge return. Even if the business debt costs you 30%, if you make 200% out, what's 200 minus 30? That's 170% return on that loan. That is good debt. That is good because it leads to more income, winning, and that's an example of good debt. What are some examples of good debt? Well, debt that you invest in to hire additional employees, build out your team, trackable marketing. I'm not talking about billboards that are difficult to track or radio ads, but actual, marketing campaigns, maybe Facebook, YouTube, maybe some strategic partnerships that are going to generate a great return. Debt for equipment. You go get that piece of equipment. Now your business can really provide value to your customers because you have a superior piece of equipment. Cash flow businesses. Let's say I can take out a loan and start a franchise business. It's proven. Or I can add another location of my existing brick and mortar business. Example of good debt. Let's say I can invest into real estate. And if I put all my money in cash cash into the real estate, well, I can make a return. But if I put 25% down and now instead of buying one property, I can buy 4 properties, I'm going to have a much stronger return. I'm going to say also, it is okay if you finance a reasonable car and a reasonable home, especially a home in a nice area can really add and actually give you some stability, make you feel better about life. It's okay, I believe, to get a reasonable mortgage and a reasonable car loan for a reasonable, nice car, but not something over the top, ridiculous expensive. It's going to get you from point A to point B. Generally, the house will increase in value over time. So my friends, we've talked about it. Not all debt is bad. There is good debt. There is bad debt. Make sure you're making great decisions when it comes to debt. If you have questions, comments, ideas, or you want to push back on my definitions of good debt and bad debt, love to read your comments. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.